All right, I'm going to do a quick overview on operations, of what they are and how they're used. So let me go in here and add an operation. This starts off as unknown. I'm going to say it's an engrave operation. You can set the speed. You can set some custom operations. This is the diagonal ratio. He wanted to mess with it. Acceleration, sometimes people will mess with this. If you set it to 3, it'll like jog the laser more, like if it's clacking or something. You can set it there. These are currently still turned off. So what happens is you define a color, you define an operation. Now in this engrave, anything that's red will be engraved in a red color. So let me load this up and let me do rect 0, 0, 5 inch, 5 inch. It'll create a 5 inch rectangle on the screen. Seems fine. Now I'm going to do stroke red. Now I have a red stroke and I have a red engrave operation. And when I go here and I say refresh classification, it will classify the red into the red operation. And then it's there. Now when I do start job, it will set the engrave there. Let me turn my rotary off really fast. Okay, so when you start, it'll say engrave as an actual operation. Now, if I added another operation, let me say I say file new, or new, add operation, unknown, and let's go ahead and make this a cut. And let's say that our cuts are this weird color purple. Now I go here and I say refresh classification. This cut doesn't have any operations in it. And when I go up to start job, it's not going to add it as a job to be started. Now what's going on here is these are paths in the elements. So you have like paths and you have, say, images. So you'd have this pirate here as an image. And so it shows up as pirate PNG or whatever. And so you move it around. And then this is an image. Now if you try to refresh classification here, it didn't put the pirate anywhere. It didn't have any location to put them in the operations here. So your operations, you have an engrave operation and you have a cut operation. Now if I say, let's add an operation for it. And let's say I want to add an image operation. And the image is going to pass through a raster direction. Let's say I want to crosshatch. Now when I say refresh classifications, it will put the pirate in the classifications. For the most part, you don't want to mess with any of this. Just set it to this, and then it'll do these. Now, also keep in mind that these actually save out when you do a save. So you can actually load up different settings. So here I have some settings that I have for acrylic. It loads up a note. It says acrylic operations, and then it doesn't put anything in here. But if I go here and I say refresh classification, it'll put it in here as an image, and then it'll do here. So these are the only items, these are the only operations with stuff inside them. So when I say start job, it'll just do image and it'll just do cut, because it doesn't bother with this raster or this engrave because there's nothing there. Now, so each element here is an actual, like it's an SVG element. It's either a picture or a filled in object, or it's a circle. It's whatever path you want and whatever you drag in there. And these themselves don't have any operation to do on the laser. They don't actually know precisely what they do, because you might want to say raster this red square. Say you wanted to raster the red square. How do you do that? You can drag it up here, and now it'll raster the red square. So now when you hit start, it'll do image, which will do this image, because this is all the images in here. It'll raster, which will only raster this red square, which will be converted down to a kind of gray. And then it will do a cut of the same red square. But please note, there's only one red square element in here. It doesn't matter how many times it appears in the elements. So if you go here and you say, let me do 5 passes, this is 5 different copies of the exact same thing. But when you cut it, it will cut this rectangle 6 times now, which is what it's doing. So whenever you send it to the jobs, what it's doing is it's sending these things with the operations that you want the laser to do on them. So if you want to do an image operation where it just does the image, it does one image with the background pass through. Here, let me do a quick thing on this. Pirate. Now, if you double click on the pirate, it'll have DPI here. And so you can change the DPI. And then say you have 4 or whatever. It will actually do 4. Let me do actualize pixels. Now this little pirate guy is actually this size. It actually has all these pixels. And so when you say start job, it will no longer do the actualize image. It just does make image, which is for this raster, and does optimize cuts, which is for these cuts. And it doesn't have to do the image anymore. So the difference between image and raster is that image will pass through whatever the given dots per pixel is, and the rasters themselves will have to tell you that. So this one has 3 already, so if you set this to say 5 or whatever, this will change it to 5, but it would have to resample the image if it were doing it the other way. So these are slightly different operations, but they're highly related. Same thing for engrave and cut. All cut does is make sure that it has a optimized cut thing. So if you actually just change your cut into an engrave, it's not going to care. It's going to still cut them at the same speed. It just won't do the optimized cuts at the beginning. So reiterating, the elements are just the SVG things that you're doing, and the operations are what you're doing with them. So they're not a one-to-one relationship. It's if you let me do file new, delete all that stuff. Let me load up a test image that does a bunch of tests. Now here, all of these are rastered inside this, so all these little rectangles get rastered, and the various colored shapes, etc. The images, say these little spots here, get processed as images. The cuts are some of the reds here. You can drag them in the other spots or so. This one's actually white, that's why you can't see it. But basically, if you say turned off these, so you went in here and you clicked output here and you turned it off, it would say disabled now, output disabled, and let's disable that one too. What else has stuff? Let's go ahead and hit this job. Now it wants to make an image for this in one of these is make an image. Where's the raster? It's here. So raster, kill that output, and then we say start job. Then it will only do these engraves, because all it does is it goes through the engraves, and then these are the things that it sends to the laser, and then these are the elements are just the stuff it has to put in the operation to send to the laser, and that's the main difference there. Okay. Hopefully some of this has been helpful. The other item is the final one. When you select some stuff, you'll get files, which appear down here. And the main thing with files is so that you can reload them. So if you go and click on this one and you say reload, it will reload this file. So basically it's just down to the pirate again. So while it still has all this stuff here, it's just the pirate. And so if you say do some modifications and you're like, oh, I don't like that, you go and then you say reload pilot. Or if you're running, say, Inkscape in the background and you change stuff and you want it to reflect back here, you would just reload the thing and it would delete any of the elements that appear in the other stuff and put it back in the scene. So you can be editing it in Inkscape and then and then move it around. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.